It's time to master buttonholes on the Singer Promise 2 Model 1512. So there's 4 built-in steps for the buttonhole. So we'll just start off and position the selection dial to 1. You are also going to pull out your buttonhole foot, keeping in mind that the side with the red marks on the left is the correct way to put it on. And we're actually going to be starting with this as far forward as possible. So when I put it on, I'm going to show you, I'm going to make sure that it's sitting here and not just sitting somewhere in the middle. You can also put a button right up here and measure how big that buttonhole needs to be, how many marks. And we'll use those as we watch the little red marks move, and then we can go, okay, that's as far as we need to go, and we'll get perfectly even buttonholes every time we stitch. So the steps are, number 1, you see it's darkened at the bottom. That's going to be that tack at the bottom. It's just going to go back and forth. So we're going to do just a handful of stitches, 5 or 6 stitches. Then we're going to move to step 2. Step 2 is going to move this back as it stitches on the left side of the buttonhole. So you go as far as you want it to go. Then you're going to switch it back to the middle, which is step 3. But this time that tack will appear at the top of the buttonhole. And again, after 5 or 6 stitches, return down the right side for step 4 until you meet up to where you started. That's it. 4-step buttonhole is what they call this. So the next thing is we're going to put the foot on. Remember, there's that little lever in the back that as you push it, it drops the foot off. And just slide that to the side. You're looking again, so the marks are on the left side of the foot. Slide the bar directly under that little claw and then lower the presser foot on. Now if it doesn't go on, just slide it forward just a little bit until it clicks into place. Now when you get started, this part, this thread, is probably up and kind of in your way. You could just kind of slide that down the foot. Of course, after you do one buttonhole, this thread will be underneath the foot anyway. So if you want that first one to kind of be in that place. So you can also stitch just right between like 2 marks. So this would be my starting point and this would be my ending point. So I'm going to just use that for today. So I'm kind of sliding this up until I can see my mark down through the foot. And then make sure that this foot is not kind of in the middle. Make sure you push it all the way back and then lower the presser foot down onto the fabric. We're going to switch back to step 1. This is going to just be that tack at the bottom. We talk about a handful of stitches. You don't want it too thick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so. Make sure that before you switch to step 2 that your needle is up out of the fabric. So if it had landed here, make sure you take the hand wheel, bring it all the way up, and then don't worry what side that needle's on, because as soon as you switch the dial, it will move to where it needs to be next. This is the side, the left side of the buttonhole, and whether you're looking and watching for the mark on the side of the foot that you're following or the mark that you put on your fabric, I'm going to sew up to that area. There's my mark. So then bring the needle up, switch it back to the center for step 3, then do about 5 or 6 stitches. That looks good. Do step number 4, which is going to bring the right leg back down to where we started. So with this machine, obviously it doesn't know where we started. So we're going to, after a few overlap stitches, we will stop stitching. And honestly, it can't go much further once the front of the foot is reached the needle area. So it's just going to really kind of hang out here going nowhere, even if you tried. So bring your needle all the way up, lift up your presser foot, and then you have the perfect buttonhole on your fabric. And if that's the right opening size, you know that you can repeat that for 8, 20 buttonholes all in the same size. So next up, let's use the button sew-on foot to attach our buttons to the fabric. So no more sewing buttons on by hand.